Hi, it's Tom from Digital Foundry, and what you're seeing here is the PC version of Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. We're running everything at the game's very high preset, maxing out lighting, shadows and draw distance to get the best results from the game. And it has to be said, The Phantom Pain looks superb running at this setting at 1080p. But what does PC have over PlayStation 4 and Xbox One? Well, based on our comparisons, the console versions run at around PC's default settings. This basically gives a mixture of medium and high settings that match console visuals very closely. But when we push all settings to very high, you begin to see some advantages on PC. First off, draw distances are dramatically improved, as you can see in this overview shot of the Kabul area. Foliage on the ground draws in at a far greater distance on the top model detail setting, whereas surprisingly PS4 and Xbox One use a setting closer to low. For a comparison, look down the valley here as we switch between settings. This is PS4, now low, now medium, high, and now very high. Now we go back to PS4 once again. Notice the difference as we switch between low and PS4 on the ground here. It's a minor change, but it does show consoles use their own bespoke setting for draw distances. In the best case scenario, PC's very high setting really pushes the boat out in this sense, and the entire scene is filled with plants and rocks far away. Another key improvement on console is in texture filtering. On console we get something close to trilinear filtering, causing a blur to floor textures at tight angles. But as we move down the dirt track on PC, all these texture details are kept clear. It's one of the main criticisms we had with the PS4 and Xbox One versions, and thankfully it can be fixed at no real performance cost on PC. Shadow lines are also smoothed over at PC's very high setting, cutting out all the aliasing we saw on console. This goes for interior shadows from characters and also the environmental shadows around Mother Base, giving a cleaner effect with no obvious cascade. On top of that, ambient occlusion draws in at a greater range on PC too. Now, as with Ground Zeroes, lighting also benefits from PC's top grade treatment. Though subtle, we get screen space reflections, an effect that has Big Boss cast reflections on walls nearby. It's hard to catch in broad daylight, but the spotlights around Mother Base at night bring it out well. Overall, these are all great plus points for PC that build on the console's solid core. But what kind of PC does it take to actually hit this high bar of quality? Well, fortunately, the Phantom Pain is really well optimized on PC, and even a processor from the i3 range carries the game without hitting any bottlenecks. This puts all the focus on the GPU side then, and it's clear the Fox engine is very scalable across a wide range of cards. To match the console experience, we'll need a minimum of a GTX 750 Ti. At default settings, 1080p, and looking to hit 60 frames per second, this card is a good choice, but you will need to resort to some overclocking to get there. Sadly, at stock clocks, hectic firefights with exploding barrels cause the card to drop to around 50 frames per second, showing a bottleneck in its memory bandwidth. By increasing the 750 Ti's memory clock by 400 MHz though, we can hit an easy 60 frames per second with no drops. It's easily the most affordable path to a console level experience on PC, and as an extra we can even bump texture filtering up over console quality without incurring a performance hit. As for maxing out all settings at 1080p, we need to go for a much faster card. From our tests, the more expensive GTX 970 is really needed here for 60 frames per second gameplay with no drops. We get to very high settings easily on the card, although there are more affordable options if you're happy to drop a few settings. For example, Nvidia's GTX 960 run the game at almost maximum settings at 1080p, but you'll need to drop ambient occlusion and post-processing by a notch. This keeps the frame rate at a stable 60 and avoids the drops to 50 and below we see when completely maxed out. Anyway, that's all for now. If you like this analysis, feel free to like and subscribe, and until next time, thanks for watching.